Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, June 27th. I'm Shawn Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now we have two main topics to cover this week. One is an update on 3 of our legislative proposals that were heard by the Joint Committee on Public Service at their public hearing this past Wednesday. We also have an update and a request for everyone in terms of our concerns regarding healthcare costs and the impact on municipal health insurance plans in particular. But before I get into those topics, just let me provide a quick reminder to everybody to please pay close attention to our weekly videos, the weekly update that's mailed to all members or emailed to all members every Friday morning at 6 a.m., our newsletter, our social media posts, the teletown halls, our area meetings. The reason why I'm mentioning this is that the information that we try to provide through these different avenues, and I know everyone consumes information and data in different ways. Some of you read the newsletter cover to cover, every single word. Others like to watch or listen to the weekly videos or read the emails or tune into our teletown halls, and a number of you do all of these things and come to our in-person area meetings. But in addition to the advocacy work and the services that we provide to all of you, a key component of our day-to-day is making sure that we're getting important information to all of you regarding your public pension and your health insurance and just your retirement in general. And I like to think that a lot of the information that we're sending to you is unique, that we're really the only venue in terms of getting accurate information on these specific topics to retired Massachusetts public employees. Now, why this has come up is that over the past week, we have heard from several dozen members who are insured through the GIC, insured under the retiree GIC dental plan, and called or emailed or texted in some cases that they were upset that they received their new dental insurance card under Altus Dental, which of course is the new dental vendor under the GIC as of July 1st. Well, these members claimed that they had no idea that this change was taking place, that quote unquote no one let them know, and that they were very surprised and taken aback when they received the Altus card in the mail because again, they were not aware of what was going on. Well, we have been reporting since last November that Altus was the new dental insurance vendor under the GIC. Last November is when the 17-member GIC Commission, through at the end of the procurement process, voted to go with Altus in lieu of MetLife. MetLife had been the dental carrier for a number of years, and now they've been replaced by Altus. So starting last November, we started reporting on it in these weekly videos, in the weekly email, in our newsletter. In every single format that we have, we've repeated this information over and over and over again. In addition to that, the GIC has also sent out information, hosted online meetings. So there's been a number of ways that collectively we've tried to get this information to everybody who's involved. And I know that week in and week out, people get busy. Things may fall through the cracks. You may overlook something. But we try to make sure that we're getting this information to you in a timely manner, trying to break it down in a way that's easy for everyone to understand. So even though you may get an email that has nothing to do with you, and the bills that I'm going to talk about in just a moment may not apply to you, or you might not be a municipal retiree and the municipal health insurance issues do not specifically apply to you. But there will be information that does apply to you. So even if you just quickly skim through it, just keep your eyes open for things that are going to impact you, if not everybody else. And if you ever have a question, give us a call. After you watch this video or read the weekly email or read your newsletter, if you're a member of our association, one of the benefits of being a member is that you have our personal contact information. Every single one of our members has Association President Frank Valeri's home telephone number. You have my cell phone number. You have Nancy McGovern's cell phone number. You can call us at any time if you have questions, concerns, complaints. And please do that after reviewing the information that we're sending out to you. Because oftentimes the answer to your question is contained, in this material. But if you still have a question, if something doesn't make sense, by all means, give us a shout. We're getting this information to you for a reason so that you're well informed as to what's going on and that there are no surprises. So with that, let me jump into the news of the week. So over the past several months, the legislative process on Beacon Hill has gotten very much underway. The budget is now in conference committee. We're anticipating perhaps we'll see a budget agreement reached next week, the first week of July, that would send the budget to Governor Healy. So stay tuned on that. But in the meantime, we've been focused on the COLA Commission, other activity on Beacon Hill, but also the 15 different bills that we have filed for the current legislative session. Now, legislative sessions here in Massachusetts last for 2 years. It started this past January, following last year's election, and it will continue until January of 2027. So we're still relatively at the beginning of the current legislative process. Now, our 15 bills, every one of them must have a public hearing. The majority of the bills are before the Joint Committee on Public Service, whose responsibility it is to oversee all of the various legislative proposals relative to civil service, public employment, and, in our case, public retirement. The Public Service Committee is chaired by State Representative Dan Ryan. Representative Ryan is from Charlestown here in Boston. On the Senate side, the committee is chaired by State Senator Mike Brady from the city of Brockton. Both Senator Brady and Representative Ryan are long-term good friends of our association. We've worked hand in hand on a number of issues over the years. So we are very well served, and all of our members are very well served by their chairmanship of the Public Service Committee. So as of now, of the 15 bills that we filed, 8 of them have now had a public hearing, including the 3 bills that were heard just this past Wednesday. Now, at Wednesday's hearing, Nancy McGovern and I together testified on the 3 bills. I testified on the veterans bonus legislation that was up, and Nancy took the option B and C recalculation, as well as the increase in the minimum pension benefit for survivors of active employees who die of a non-work related cause, but while they are still an active employee. So I get a little bit ahead of myself. The 3 bills, there are 3 versions or 3 bills filed on the veterans bonus. The language of all 3 bills are identical. On the Senate side, Senator John Velas filed Senate 1918. Representative Dennis Gallagher from the town of Bridgewater filed House 2834, and Representative Scanlon, I believe from Attleboro, if I'm not mistaken, filed House 2956. Again, all of these bills are relative to the veterans bonus. The veterans bonus is automatically applied to any public retiree who is a veteran. It is automatically part of your pension. There's nothing that you need to apply for or anything like that. This benefit was created way back in 1956. Yes, you heard me correctly, 1956. In the aftermath of the Korean War, this benefit was put in place. So this is not something new that I'm talking about. What we are attempting to do and what we've proposed is increasing the bonus amount from the current maximum benefit of $300 per year, which again was established way back in 1956. That $300 is the original bonus from that time. It's never been increased. And the value of money in 1956 is very different today. I think we all understand that. So our proposal under these 3 bills would increase that maximum benefit from the $300 that it currently is to a new maximum benefit of $1,000. So it would go from $15 for each year of credible service up to the max of $300 to a new benefit of $50 per year of credible service up to a maximum of $1,000. So if you worked for 20 or more years under this proposal, you would receive $1,000 a year added to your pension if you are a veteran. Now, this bill has been released from the Public Service Committee a couple of times in the past. We got close to it being included last session in the HEROES Act. Unfortunately, the HEROES Act ended up being relatively narrowly defined, and the bill was not included in that. So we're back once again trying to move this legislation forward, and this bill is one of our priorities for the current session because we got so close last go around. We're hopeful that we can move this forward this year. The cost to our retirement systems is negligible at best. Actuaries would refer to it as de minimis, meaning that it is a very small amount. It could be easily rolled into the pension funding schedule without affecting appropriations or new unfunded liabilities and so forth. The other two bills are House 2787, relative to the recalculation of option B and C benefits. This bill is filed by Representative Taki Chan from the city of Quincy. Back in 2004, the mortality tables that are used to calculate option B and C pension benefits in terms of the survivor portion of those benefits, those tables were updated in 2004, but they were updated on a prospective basis, meaning that anyone who had already retired was not impacted by this change. Now, unfortunately, the change was beneficial to future retirees, and those who had already retired arguably received smaller option B and C pension benefits than they otherwise would have if these new mortality tables had been in place at that time. And for the better part of the last 20 years, we have been working to correct what we believe to be an unfair change that it left certain folks behind, and we've been trying to correct that. It's been an uphill battle. Almost always when these types of changes are made to retirement law or retirement benefits, they are almost always prospective in nature, meaning that they only apply to new retirees going forward. And that same concept applies, by the way, anytime that contribution rates for your pensions have been increased. Those increases have only applied to folks who were newly hired. They don't go back in time and increase contribution rates for existing employees, and certainly not for retirees. Well, the same thing applies to changes that might benefit retirees or employees. But that being said, we continue to work on this issue, and we're hopeful that as time has gone on, that perhaps it is finally time to do something to correct what we believe to be an injustice and a wrong that was done, and we're going to stay at it. Now, Senate 1867, filed by State Senator Cindy Friedman, increases the minimum pension that's paid to survivors of active employees who die of a non-work-related cause while they are still an active employee. 14 years ago, that minimum pension was increased to $500 a year. At that time, it was initiated by former State Senator Ken Donnelly. Ken Donnelly was a retired firefighter, very good friend of our association. Unfortunately, he passed away a number of years ago. Senator Friedman, who had been Senator Donnelly's chief of staff, ran for his seat, won, and has gone on to become the chair of the Senate Healthcare Finance Committee, and is a dear friend and close ally of our association. So we're very thankful to Senator Friedman for filing this legislation that would increase, again, that base minimum pension from $500 to $750 per month, and it would just help it catch up with inflation. Now, we still have 7 bills remaining to be heard this session. As of now, there is no hearing that's been scheduled on these 7 bills. If you have a particular issue that you are interested in, please continue to monitor our weekly updates. As soon as these bills have been scheduled, and I know there's a lot of interest, for instance, in the post-retirement work legislation, whether it's further changes or increases in the hours that someone's allowed to work, or the amount of money that a retiree is allowed to make in post-retirement public sector work. There's a number of bills pending that have been filed on those issues, but there is no action that has taken place. The public hearing on these issues has not happened yet. once it is scheduled, we will let all of you know, because I know, again, there's a lot of interest in this particular topic. Now, in terms of municipal health insurance, all of you should know by now that our concerns over healthcare affordability, the impact that affordability is going to have or may have on plan design and cost and so forth going forward, we are very concerned about this. And not only at the state level, but even more importantly at the local level. Because as healthcare costs continue to go up, and as these plans become more and more unaffordable, that's going to coincide or is coinciding with the ability of government, in particular of municipal government, whose local budgets at the same time are becoming tighter and tighter. Their ability to continue to fund these benefits may be in jeopardy. And we are already hearing rumblings around the state of potential changes being made at the municipal level when it comes to your health insurance benefits. And a huge part of our day-to-day work, and in particular the day-to-day work of Nancy McGovern, focuses on these very issues. However, we need your help in terms of keeping us in the loop of what you're hearing or seeing at the local level. Our members are our eyes and ears, as well as the boots on the ground when it comes to local grassroots advocacy. So whether you are retired from the community that you happen to live in or not, if you hear of some scuttlebutt or activity taking place or plans by the local Board of Selectmen or City Council or Mayor or whomever to make changes to your local retirees' health insurance plans, let us know. Give me a shout, reach out to Nancy, let us know what you're hearing at the local level. Sometimes we may already be aware of this, but often our first notification comes from all of you. You hear about something, you reach out, we can then work with our local members to hopefully get out in front of these things. And in many cases, we've been able to prevent the horse from even leaving the barn in terms of bad things happening when it comes to local health insurance benefits. But we need to know what's going on, and we need you to be involved in the process. So let us know. We're going to continue to do our part, both here in Boston at the state level, as well as around the Commonwealth, to protect your rights to high quality, affordable health care, preventing cost shifting, and preventing these benefits from being jeopardized. Now, they cannot take your health insurance away, but they can certainly make changes to it that none of us are going to like and that would make things more unaffordable for a lower quality plan. So we got to work together on these things. Keep us posted. Now, one last point. Next week being the Independence Day holiday, we're not going to have a weekly update on the 4th of July. So we're going to take a hiatus next week, but we will be back to all of you again the second week of July with a fresh update. It's going to be a busy month leading into August when things will quiet down a little bit in the month of August. But the next 4 or 5 weeks are going to continue to be pretty busy, but we're on top of things. I hope all of you have a wonderful 4th of July holiday. The heat has finally subsided a little bit here in Boston. These last several days were pretty unbearable, but not going to complain after all of the rain we've had. But the weather forecast for the coming week here in New England looks spectacular. So enjoy your time with your family, your friends, or just relaxing and enjoying the birthday of our country and celebrating that. Be well, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back to you again real soon. Bye-bye.